So I was out doing a little property walk and foraging a little bit. It's been a great year for some pretty good berries. Still a little tart. The last little, found some more on the some other parts of the property, a little sweeter. But it's been all kinds of berries. And this is going on our second year here. And see here, there's some red huckleberries, which are pretty good. They're pretty tart. So if you don't like tart berries, but last year, I don't know what it was, just the season, it worked out. Didn't have that many berries around the property. You can see, obviously, we had a pretty wet spring. That might have helped out with it. But, yeah, here it is, middle of July. And we got some berries starting to ripen. They're delicious. The worst part about the little, I call creeper berries, or they're like a blackberry, but you know they grow on these vines on the ground. As you can see, they're all over. They're hard to pick because, of course, they grow in the brush here. So once you find a good little patch, though, pretty delicious. So, well, I'm going to continue my property walk. Just thought I'd share that with you. Sometimes you can just, forage on your own property if you have it set up right. Yeah, so since a little update since the last, the aviary update, obviously the garden space is taken off. Everything that I transplanted pretty much survived. Got obviously more plants in here than real estate mainly, but it is what it is. Until I get the greenhouse finished up with more soil and stuff like that. I'm kind of limited on grow space that's protected, and we'll get into that in a minute. I do intend on building some raised garden beds in a portion of my yard because I don't need that much grass. Alright, so my slowly recovering blueberries. So mistake number one I made was not testing the soil before I put these in the ground. Realizing that I have high alkaline soil. I kind of assumed that I had decent acidic soil, or more acidic soil than an alkaline soil that would, blueberries would be happy on, because the blueberries grow here in the Northwest all over the place on farms. So I just kind of, made a general assumption, and that was a mistake. And so now I am doing the proper amendments, but that's kind of a slow process, and hopefully we're already starting to see some new growth on this one, some recovery. So we'll see. We'll continue to monitor those, and hopefully they'll come back, and next year they'll be happy with blueberry bushes. So, and then over here I've got my goji that's doing pretty well. It's got some yellowing a little bit there on some of those leaves. I got to look into that a little bit. And then my unhappy fruit trees, a Gala apple tree and a Fuji over there. They do a little bit of issues last summer with watering due to a timer getting turned off by a child. so that kind of shocked them, I think, last summer. They seemed like they were coming back pretty good this spring. I got some of the new growth nibbled off by some deer that, probably caused some additional stress. This one, I think, has gotten some sort of disease or something, because there's some bark issues on it. I trimmed off the dead parts, and we'll see what happens. So I'll let them go through the rest of the summer. If they don't come back next spring, I'll probably just replace them. So we'll continue to monitor that. This monstrosity is some ad-libbed garden space that I just threw in because I ran out of space for the amount of plants I had. So, and I had a bunch, and I figured it'd be a decent spot. This actually has very great sun exposure here. And we'll get into it a little bit more on that in here in a second. But there's some spaghetti squash would allow it to, grow down the hill kind of. And then there was, originally I had 6 pickle cucumber bushes. Those were the first ones that the deer just destroyed. And I assumed, I didn't have this stuff on here, that cucumber bushes would be the last thing they would attack just because of the texture of the leaves. I was obviously very wrong about that. So, hey, learn as we go. I knew I had the threat. I didn't address it initially, and I paid the price for it. So, just FYI, maybe the spaghetti squash plants, they're slowly recovering from, they're almost lost all their leaves. Some of them completely died, so we'll see what happens. This is my most, yeah. Anyways, so this is a nectarine tree, and this doe with her 2 yearling fawns, first year, just attacked the hell out of this thing and broke off 2 branches. This thing was doing great. In fact, I was expecting fruit from it next year. Probably not. I've got to trim back those broken parts, and obviously I have some protection around it now. Maybe enough. I probably should add another layer to this just because of the slope. She could probably still reach up in there and get a hold of that top one and try to break it. Really putting this tree back. So that frustrates the heck out of me. And like I said, once again, I knew the threat was there. I didn't think they had not messed with this tree at all the 2 years it's been here so far. It was his second summer. They'd messed with the apples. I expected that. I should have known. I mean, it's a nectarine. I'm sure tree. I know people that have peach trees, and they have issues with deer. It's probably knucklehead move on my part. But yeah. So to finish up this area, gonna add raised garden beds to here. The plus side to doing the raised garden beds, for one, if I have to do soil amendments, it's a lot easier for them to be more effective because it's kind of a more controlled space. 2, I can add side posts and stuff on them that I can add protection to them. That's obviously a little more aesthetic than the green stuff, or something maybe like these steel panels or some. These are actually the ones for concrete, but kind of like the hog panels, basically, or cattle panels, some people call them. But yeah, so it just allows have great sun exposure. Obviously, you can tell my property is fairly sloped, so picking entries, so picking spots that are more ideal for a garden are a little more challenging. The next step is that needs work, some upgrades, and I've already lost two chicks that I showed you earlier this year. One to my automatic door. That's a long story. And the second one to, I believe, a neighbor's dog. Couldn't prove it. Talked to them about it. They promised they'll try to keep their dog. I mean, basically that was kind of I told them next time if it kills an animal that they're going to have to pay for it. So they asked me to be mean to their dog, but it's a nice dog, obviously to people. So, but I mean, we tried yelling at it to go home, and it just comes and wags its tail. So, anywho, I don't want to get too down that road, but we can go into chickens later when I start doing the chicken coop upgrade. That was, if you've seen old videos, that was pre-existing. I need to extend their outside area and build a usable, oh, there was just an owl. Wow, I wish I would have got that on camera. There in one of those alder trees right over there was either an owl or a hawk. Big. I do have quite a few great gray owls here and plenty of red-tailed hawks. But yeah, they were looking for a quick meal. Yeah, that open top, I need to do something about that probably. Anyways, the one chicken, the other chickens we've lost to, or we're pretty sure lost to hawks, they were out wandering because we let them out usually in the evening hours, like an hour or so before they're about ready to go roost. So that way they just get some time to scratch around outside in the grass. So, all right, well, I've rambled long enough. This is Nomad 76. I appreciate you all watching, and stay tuned for